Do you like ribeyes? Do you like saving money on meat? Then we can be friends. I'm going to show you how to save $103 on ribeyes in 2025. Let's go. If you're new, on this channel, we cut meat, we cook meat, we eat meat. In 2022, I made a video showing you how to save $80 while cutting your own steaks at home. And I constantly get comments, old video, that will not work in 2025. What if I told you in 2025, you can still save money on ribeyes every day of the week? Would that be good for you? Would that be a value add? Let's get to it. All right, so you want a delicious, juicy, seared, crusty ribeye steak. Where do you go to get it? Well, we go to the grocery store. No, we cannot go to the grocery store. What you do is you go past the grocery store. You drive a little bit further and you go to Costco. You go to Sam's. You go to the chef store. These are the places you can get a whole ribeye subprimal cut and save a ton of money. All right, so next I'm gonna show you how to break this whole thing down into individual steaks. Then I'm gonna show you the proof. I'm gonna show you the receipts. We're gonna go over how I saved all the money and what the differences between when you buy a whole subprimal cut and an individual cut steak. Man, the value in this video is so great. We got so much to do. Let's get to it. All right, things we're gonna need to start this project. First of all, we're gonna need some meat. This is a whole ribeye that I bought from Costco. So it is a USDA choice ribeye. We definitely need one of these to get started. Next, you're gonna need a big cutting board. This one is 20 by 15 and it is wood. I love wood cutting boards. This is what you need to cut these big subprimal cuts. Next, you're gonna need a good knife. So this is the Butcher Wizard 10-inch breaking knife. It is a great knife that is super sturdy and strong and ready to tackle this ribeye project. Again, this is available on Amazon and I'll put the link in the description. Once we cut all our steaks, we're gonna need a vacuum sealer. This is the Wevac CV12 chamber vacuum sealer. It makes vacuum sealing a breeze. I'm gonna show you a little bit about this later. But this is my go-to vacuum sealer to make sure I get sealing all the freshness of all these steaks so I can keep them up to 2 years in the freezer. It couldn't be simpler. We're gonna take our Butcher Wizard 10-inch breaking knife. Whatever knife you have, if it's a long knife, is going to be better. So if you have a 10-inch chef's knife, you have an 8-inch chef's knife, use that. This is also a great knife for a specialty use of cutting these down because it can get all the way across. So the 10-inch breaking knife can go all the way across the entire ribeye. So you know you're going to get a nice smooth cut. So basically what we're gonna do is for this first cut, we're just gonna take this and square it up. So you have a little bit of trim there. All the trim we're gonna do today will be either for beef tallow or ground beef, so nothing gets wasted. So what you're gonna do is basically a nice ribeye steak is about 1.25 inches. So we're gonna go ahead and take 1.25 inch steak and just go ahead and cut it through. See how sharp that knife is? Boom. And we're gonna go ahead and make our beautiful ribeye steak. The cool thing about doing this yourself is that you can take we're gonna cut it here and take a whole prime rib. You wanna make a prime rib right here? You can make a 3, 4, 5 pound prime rib super easy. Today we're just gonna do ribeye steaks, but you can make a thick ribeye. I wanna go 1.5 inches. Easy. Boom. I don't need to worry about any other, like talking to somebody or whatever. I can make my own 1.5 inch cut thick ribeye. What if you like thin ribeyes? You want to take a nice thin one? Okay, take a 1/2 inch, take 3/4 inch, whatever you want. You can do it when you cut it yourself. So from here, we're just going to make nice, easy cuts. Again, the breaking knife makes it so you can, the tip of the knife goes down, cuts right through in one straight line. So you have a nice, even cut every time. Okay? We're gonna come back and clean up some of this to make a nice, beautiful steak, but I'm gonna show you that in a little bit. All right, quick check-in. How we doing, right? All we've done so far is cut a couple steaks. And it's just that simple. You take this whole thing, You cut little steaks out of it and you save a ton of money. So you're doing a great job. If you're doing this with me, thank you. Pause if you need to, but hey man, we are rolling along. You can do this. Let's go. All right, so from here, we're just gonna continue to take steaks out of it. Boom. Quick lesson on ribeye steaks. So you see this muscle right here? That is called the spinalis. So that is that's a ribeye cap. That is the most tender and delicious and juicy piece of the whole ribeye, almost the whole cow. It's a pretty delicious cut. So when you're looking for a ribeye at the store, make sure that this thing is big, because you can see as we cut these steaks down, you can see that they change. The spinalis gets smaller and we get more into what looks like a New York strip. So check that out. When you get to the end of the subprimal cut, you want to make sure that you plan for it. So this is about enough for 2, but don't cut so much so you have a little tiny ribeye at the end. That's the end cut. So you got to do some planning. You see what I was talking about? How this almost looks like a New York strip. There's very little spinalis right here, like almost little tiny. It almost looks like a New York strip. That's because if you go right here, this is on the cow. This is where the New York strip would start. So here we go. So that's why you have such a small spinalis and it looks almost like a New York strip. Let's talk about how to trim a whole ribeye steak that you cut. So basically we have our whole ribeye here and we have this fat that we want to go ahead and trim. Now what we're going to do is, you see this line that goes right here? We're going to trim about a 1/4 inch before that and go all the way around. That way the natural seam keeps that ribeye together and you won't have as much of that crazy flop around as you do when you cook a normal ribeye. So keep that little natural seam right here, and that will get you the best ribeye possible. Ribeyes have very little in the way of trim, especially since we're talking about usable trim and things we can make into a ground beef or beef tallow. So you can cut this piece of fat off like this, or you can cut this whole round off here. And have that beautiful looking round ribeye steak, just like that. Look how pretty that is. This is about as good as it gets right there. So all this, the trim and the beef, the trim and the fat, we can make into beef tallow. We can separate the fat from the lean and make beef tallow, or we can just put this all in the grinder and make delicious ground beef. Is that like a show-stopping, Instagram-worthy ribeye? Yes, it is. Now that we have our ribeyes all cut up, next thing to do is to vacuum seal them. So we're gonna put the steak in the bag. This is really tough stuff to get. There are 2 little clips right here, and you're gonna put that bag right underneath those 2 clips. That easy. Then we're going to turn it on. Whew, on always is better. You're gonna say you got a medium bag, and you simply close it up. It takes about 60 seconds to do the vacuum seal thing, and then you'll be ready to vacuum seal your next steak. Open it up. Here is our vacuum sealed ribeye. Just that easy. I know what you're thinking right now. Hey Brad, you taught us how to purchase a whole ribeye, how to cut it into delicious steaks, how to vacuum seal it so we can save it for up to 2 or 3 years, but where is the proof? Where are the receipts, and how much money did we save in this process? Let's break down some numbers. I went to Publix and bought 1 ribeye for $20.10 per pound. We can do way better than that. So I went to Costco and got an entire whole ribeye subprimal cut for $12.99 per pound. That's a savings of $7.11 per pound. The entire ribeye was 14.28 pounds. Now all we need to do is multiply $7.11 by our 14.28 pounds, and you end up with a savings of $101.53. You are welcome. We will see you on the next one.